Hey guys, my name is Eric. Just wanted to do an intro, kind of my backstory of why I started doing carnivore. Um, I started doing it around 4.5 months ago, um, mainly due to my blood pressure being really high, or I was really battling some hypertension. Sometimes it would be low, sometimes it would be high. I was also taking some blood pressure medicine at that time and couldn't understand why it was still fluctuating so much. So I decided to stop taking blood pressure medicine um, and just start walking. And then decided within a few days of doing that um, I would start doing carnivore. I had done AIP, which is autoimmune paleo, in the past, as well as keto. My oldest son has epilepsy, and so we attempted keto, and so I did that with him for probably 4.5 months. During that time, I was also doing a lot of intermittent fasting. Um, so doing the carnivore wasn't initially difficult. It really hasn't been difficult. It's been very freeing. The energy I now have from it is phenomenal. I'm 50, almost 54 years old. I'll be 54 in December. Um, I'm an Army veteran. I'm also a registered nurse. Have been a nurse for over 30 years. Um, Mainly, eating quickly or not eating at all, but eating not very healthy food. A lot of processed foods, a lot of carbs. Um, so if we go back about 2.5 years, um, I had a spot come up on my bottom, a boil or something. So I went to my internal medicine doctor, and he immediately asked me, like, "Are you diabetic?" And I'm like, "Well, you're my doctor." I'd never been diagnosed as having diabetes. Had labs done that day. Um, the nurse practitioner at his office wanted to cut into it to see if it could be drained. Um, I had that done while there without numbing medicine because she told me that it would congeal the infection and not be able to come out easily. So I was held down on the table while she cut this place on my bottom with a scalpel as I screamed. Um, Fast forward a few days, was on antibiotics. It really wasn't getting better. And then I went. They sent me to see a surgeon. He looked at it, did some numbing medicine. He thought it was crazy that they, you know, didn't give it to me. Um, he put me on two different antibiotics, and then within a few days after that, I received my labs for my internal medicine, and my A1C was like almost 9. It was like 8.8 or 8.9. So they wanted to start me on metformin, and I was like, being a nurse, and you know what happens. It's not good. You know what happens when people are diagnosed with diabetes and what it entails. And so I was like, I cannot take this medicine. So I immediately got with a trainer, started exercising, stopped drinking beer. During that time, I drank quite a bit of beer on a daily basis. stopped drinking beer, kind of started drinking a little harder liquor. Wasn't good. Did lose some weight. Um, I was checking my blood sugars. My blood sugars were actually really good. But during this time, I ended up stopping work. Um, and I was going to do a travel nursing job. So I needed to do a Tdap vaccination, tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. So I did that. Well, then within a couple of days, the travel agency was like, you need to have at least one of the COVID vaccines. So I went and got the Johnson and Johnson within 4 days of having the Tdap, and I even asked them, hey, is it okay to do this additional vaccine when I just had a vaccine? They're like, oh yeah, that was early on. So within 3 days of having the COVID vaccine, I was in the ER with severe hypertension, like 190s over 120s. Anxiety was just sky high. I mean, it was like could not think that I was going to live past that moment. I mean, it was so terrifying. I am, or I've had a history of PTSD being from my military service, and I'd had periodic panic attacks here and there, but nothing to this severity. So I spent about 8 hours in the ER, ended up leaving around 2 that morning. The next day I went to donate blood because I looked in the patient portal. My hematocrit was elevated. So I went and gave blood. After that, I was still in this severe anxiety mode. So I go back to the ER. I sat there 14 hours, had labs drawn again, but just wasn't seen. That's how full they were. End up leaving again around 1 in the morning. Went to my doctor, internal medicine on Monday. They gave me some light anxiety medicine that didn't work. Kind of fast forward a little bit, maybe a few days. I went to the doctor several times that week, went to an endocrinologist. At that time, I was also on levothyroxine for my thyroid, having hypothyroid or Hashimoto's. They stopped the thyroid medicine. I had to decline the travel nursing position. I literally was thinking, I probably thought for probably at least a year straight that on a daily basis I was going to die. It's just terrifying. Ultimately was given something stronger for anxiety. Went back and did a travel job after that, probably within 3 or 4 months. Did a travel job for about 9 months. Still having anxiety, still sort of eating better. I started this program called Cellular Health. So I was, that was when I was doing the AIP type diet. So that was about 1.5 years ago. Did that, had good results. Weight was good. They encouraged a lot of elimination. We ended up taking a trip to Disney World. And when we arrived in Orlando, I was going to meet a friend. I didn't make it. I ended up pulling into a Chick-fil-A. I I was blacking out at the wheel. Had them call 911, and the ambulance got there. My blood pressure was again sky high, 200 over 120s. They're like, "Oh, you're super dehydrated." And during this time, during our trip, I was eating like epic beef jerky and drinking water, and I guess I just diuresed or urinated off, and so it just made my blood pressure go sky high. So I was able to get back to my hotel and meet my family, and you know, this was about a year ago, and so since that year, I've had just scares with my blood pressure. So I was like, it's just getting the weight off, I thought, but it's really just the swings of diet and not being able to lose fat, or our bodies being able to use fat effectively, and being lower carb or carb loading after working out, or being low fat. That's what we're always taught. You work with a trainer, that's what they're always taught. That's what you do. You lift weights 4, 5, 6 days a week. So fast forward to now, 4.5 months of doing carnivore, 4.5 months of walking daily. I do at minimum 10,000 steps per day, and I have for 125 days straight. So that's how long I've been doing carnivore. So not even 4.5 months. I started, my weight was I was 226 when I went to see my doctor in April. And I've been as low as 189. I'm now at like 192. I have been lifting more weights about twice a week, getting out in the sun more, as far as like shirtless, being out in the sun more. Kind of just go in my backyard and just hang out, listen to music, do some grounding, just barefoot walking through the yard, just getting the sun to nourish my skin. But I'm off thyroid medicine. I also, during that time, I took testosterone. I'm off testosterone. I'm off blood pressure medicine. I'm taking a very small amount of something for anxiety. I'm hoping to get off that. My anxiety has improved. I wouldn't say it's gone, but I'm definitely, throughout the day, I'm not thinking I'm going to die. I don't want to die. I'm a veteran, but I have a family, and I don't want to end my life. I want to see my children have children and see them, I'm just so thankful that I'm alive. The Lord has blessed me abundantly. And I truly believe, especially having been in the health profession for so long, that carnivore, animal-based, just getting rid of processed foods and carbs, just eating fatty meat, bacon, steak. I primarily eat ground beef patties. I use mainly a steak sauce that I make out of butter, cream cheese, and beef broth and salt. But you'll see I have photos out on Instagram and Twitter and other places, but that's the majority of my diet. Eggs, I love eggs, ribeye, bacon. My treat is shrimp. shrimp and butter. So, but hey, follow me. I'll look to do these videos at least once a week just to talk about something. Give me some ideas of things to talk about. I'll be moving to Florida soon. Hope to do some like beach coverage and footage. I'm taking a job with the VA, so I'm looking forward to that. Serving the community I want to serve now will be veterans. So appreciate it. Much love.